The day I found out I was pregnant, I was kidnapped and had both my eyes gouged out. Michael was the one who had the culprit sent to prison. I lay on the hospital bed, refusing to wake from the nightmare of blindness. In the haze between sleep and consciousness, I heard Michael speaking with the doctor. Mr. Gu, if what you wanted was Miss Shin's corneas, why take the whole eyes? Even if she undergoes surgery later, her vision may never return. Was it really necessary to be so cruel? Blind is blind, Michael said coldly. I will provide for her for the rest of her life. If we had only taken the corneas, Ran would have grown suspicious. I promised Yua I would marry her in grand style. As long as Grace can still see, Yua could never live under her shadow. Besides, the child Yua carries looks so much like me. Grace would have noticed eventually. Hot tears of blood slid from the corners of my ruined eyes. So the wedding I had dreamed of for 5 years had been nothing but a lie. The true love I longed for turned out to be my death sentence. If that was the case, then I would rather leave. Enough, Michael continued, his voice steady. Do as I instructed. The corneal transplant is done. Now prepare the abortion. And remove her womb as well. Do it cleanly. She must never know. When she wakes, Yua will be out of danger. I will bring her and the baby home. They will live right next door to Grace. Convenient enough for her to help care for Ran. The doctor wiped his sweat, his voice uneasy. Mr. Gu, please think again. The child in her belly is yours too. She has already lost her eyes. If you also take her child, you will destroy her completely. Michael brushed at the bloody tears on my face again and again, his voice full of mock pity. She has no eyes. Even if she gives birth, she cannot care for a child. I am doing this for her. Besides, I do not want my son mocked for having a blind mother. I promised Yua I would bring her and our child into the Gu family and give her the grand wedding she deserves. Her eyes were lost saving me. I cannot break my word. As for Grace, I will be her eyes for the rest of her life. That will be enough to make amends. The doctor sighed deeply, staring at my mangled face. What a cursed fate. Miss Shin loved you so dearly. You could have bought anyone else for this operation, but you chose. Never mind, what is done. Prepare the surgery, Michael ordered. Do it cleanly, leave no trace. Do it before Ran wakes. I do not want her to suffer. The doctor hurried from the room. Michael pulled out his phone and recorded a message for his assistant. The kidnapper did not say anything wrong, did he? Remind him before he goes to prison. Send the final payment to his family. Make sure Ran never finds out. Blood spilled from my hollow eye sockets, soaking into the pillow. Michael wiped my body with warm water again and again, but I could not stop shivering. 3 days earlier I had told him I was pregnant. The moment I left the hospital, I was abducted and dragged to an abandoned factory. I screamed, tore open my wrist to message Michael for help. He never replied. Not until the knife pierced my eye did he arrive with the police. I once asked him why he had not come sooner. He said only that he had been in a meeting and had not seen my message. I was rushed into surgery that same night, but my eyes were gone forever. He said he would care for me for life, that he would be my eyes. I never imagined it was all part of his plan. The happiness I thought I had was nothing but a mirage. Lies and betrayal were the truth between us. I struggled to sit up, but anesthesia was already coursing through me. I heard the nurse sigh. Michael kissed my forehead tenderly. Be good, it will be over soon. Ran, I will be waiting for you. Cold instruments stirred inside me, my heart froze along with them. While the surgery went on, Michael stayed in Sophia's ward, never leaving her side. When I regained consciousness, he rushed to me, took my hand, and pressed it to his cheek. Ran, it is me. Can you feel me? Does anything hurt? If it does, I will tell them to change your medicine. I could not see his expression, but his voice trembled with worry. His performance was flawless. The scent of his cologne filled my nose. I reached out and touched his face. I am fine. You must be exhausted. Rest for a while. I will stay here with you. Relieved, his breathing slowed. Just then my phone chimed. The sender must have known I could not see. The message came with audio. The screen reader read it aloud. Today is Lily's first birthday. Daddy came overseas to celebrate with us. Are you happy, Lily? Daddy? A woman's playful laugh followed. Michael, thank you for coming. If only I could see. The gift you brought for Lily must be so precious. Is she smiling? She seems to like her daddy more than her blind mother. Michael's voice dropped low, heavy with guilt. I am sorry. I will find a way to cure your eyes. Once I return home, I will arrange the surgery. I will bring Lily back to the GU family as well. Do not worry, everything I promised, I will do. You suffered because you saved me. Lily is my only child, everything I have belongs to her, and to you. I will spend every holiday with you. You will never be alone again. The birthday song began to play. The two of them laughed as they held their child together. After a pause of 2 seconds, the next recording began to play. Just as Michael had promised, he spent every holiday afterward with Sophia. The gifts he brought evolved from simple dolls to granting her the entire city's largest amusement park. The words indulgence and favoritism were written all over his actions. On top of that, there was the wedding he had been preparing for half a year. Michael deferred to Sophia in everything. The gown was tailored to her size, the ring set with the gemstone she loved. From the very beginning, he had never intended for me to be part of this wedding. I laughed at myself bitterly and stopped listening. I sent a voice message to my best friend, asking her to buy me a ticket to leave the country in 3 days. Abroad, I would contact a hospital for treatment. I also authorized her to cancel all of my identification documents back home. She did not question it, only thought I had finally seen Michael for what he was. Her words brimmed with happiness for me. Setting my phone aside, I sank into a heavy sleep. When I woke again, it was to the sound of Michael's sobbing. He shoved a hospital report into my hands, his voice breaking apart with grief. Ran, I am so sorry. I was too late. The doctor said our child is gone. Worse. Your abdomen was badly injured. You will never be able to conceive again. I am sorry, truly sorry. It is all my fault. I was too late. Please, do not be sad. If you really want a child, once you leave the hospital we can adopt one from an orphanage. With me by your side, no one will dare gossip. Any child you adopt, I will love as if they were my own. The one who had lost a child was me, yet he looked more devastated than I did. His acting was flawless. I had no strength left to expose him. After a long silence, I touched the thick stack of papers in my hands and slowly nodded. Tears dropped onto my skin as Michael pulled me into his arms. Ran, do not be afraid. Whatever happens, I will stay with you. After the wedding, we will never part. I will be your eyes, your support, and I will show you the most beautiful scenery in this world. Every gust of wind, every falling leaf, I will describe them all for you. Our chests pressed together, but our hearts beat in different rhythms. After a long moment, Michael spoke again. His tone conflicted. The wedding is already arranged, but your body has not recovered. When the day comes, I fear. Find someone else to stand in for me. I said quietly, do not let the GU family lose face. I knew what he wanted to say, better to bring it up myself than let him corner me. At least this way I could preserve a shred of dignity. Michael was startled by my sudden change in attitude, but since it suited his purpose, he did not question it. Just then, my phone buzzed with an audio reply from my friend. I hurried to silence it. Michael had caught the word abroad. He froze for a moment. Abroad, Ran. Why would you go abroad? No, I answered quickly. It must have been a news notification. Look at me. Where could I possibly go? He did not press further. Only held me tighter, his voice dripping with tenderness. Your eyes are not well. If you need anything, tell me. I will take care of it for you. Michael, I want to leave the hospital. His whole body tensed at once. No, your body has not healed. I will not allow it. I slid my hand up his arm, shaking it lightly. Did you not promise we could adopt a child? Then let us also find a nanny. Let us go together. I want to clear my head, for the first time since the incident. I made a request of him. Michael could not resist me and finally agreed. On the way to the agency, his phone kept buzzing with messages. I turned my head and pretended to nap, but my hand slipped between the car seats and found a child's doll. Knowing I could not see, he had grown careless. No longer bothering to cover his tracks, it was time to end this 5-year charade. When we arrived, the moment I stepped through the door I heard Sophia's voice. It was the same as in the recordings. And along with it came the laughter of a child. Daddy, Michael's face shifted. afraid I would suspect, he rushed to explain. Do not misunderstand, this is the nanny I found for you. She was sick before, and I supported her for a while. She is a single mother. Life has not been easy. The child has never had a father. So she always calls me that. I smiled and nodded as if unconcerned. What is her name? Is this the child you want to adopt? Yes, her name is Lily. She is 3 years old, a girl. Worried I might refuse, Michael hurried on. Her mother cannot afford to raise her. When she heard we wanted to adopt, she contacted me. With her mother helping, you can rest easier. It might even help your recovery. Do not worry, this child is well behaved, she will not cause trouble, and officially, you will be her mother. I stayed silent for a long time. Michael grew increasingly anxious until at last I agreed. Relieved, he rushed off to complete the adoption paperwork, leaving me forgotten in the hallway. The moment he was gone, a group of employees surrounded me. Thinking me deaf as well as blind, they gossiped without restraint. So this is Mr. Gu's blind fiancé. Her husband cheats and she still comes along to adopt his illegitimate child. Pitiful, is it not? I heard it was Mr. Gu himself who had her eyes gouged out, all to bring Miss Lin back into the Gu family. Such a waste. She was a fine young woman, and now she is ruined. So she has to live every day with Miss Lin and Mr. Gu's child under her roof, blind, while her husband sleeps with another woman right under her nose. What kind of life is that? If I were her, I would just end it all. Their sneers pressed on my chest until I could barely breathe, guided by memory. I made my way to the office door. From inside came a voice I knew too well. Michael, are you sure this will work? If I move into the GU house, won't Sister Ranran find out? I don't want you two fighting because of me. Leave the rest to me, Michael answered firmly. All you need to do is take good care of Lily. Ranran cannot see. As long as you are careful, she will never know. Remember, take care of her for me. She is your benefactor as well. Benefactor. I thought back to Michael's car accident 3 years ago, to the misplaced gratitude Sophia claimed as her own. A part of me almost longed to see Michael's face when he finally learned the truth. At that moment, an employee rushed in with a contract, blurting out Sophia's name without thinking. Michael's expression collapsed into panic. Ranran, what are you doing here? You misunderstand, it's just a coincidence in names. If you don't like it, I can ask her to change. Sophia said nothing. Standing behind him with a mocking smile, I pressed my lips into the semblance of a smile, swallowing all my grief. No need, people share names all the time, it's just coincidence, no reason to be bothered by it. You carry on, I'll wait outside. Terrified I might grow suspicious, Michael spent a long while explaining. Listening to his anxious tone, I almost laughed aloud. For Sophia and her child, he had staged a kidnapping, gouged out my eyes. Now that his wish had come true, who was he still performing for? Don't worry, I'm not so petty. Do your paperwork, I'll wait here. His footsteps receded. I pulled out my phone and confirmed the cancellation request my friend had sent that very night. The wedding dress Michael had shipped specially from abroad was delivered to the house. The GU parents laid out a table overflowing with dishes to welcome Sophia and Lily. I claimed my body was unwell and shut myself in my room, but laughter still drifted up from below. Uncle GU busy feeding Lily bites of food, waving a doll to make her laugh. Aunt GU fussing over Sophia alongside Michael, helping her into the gown, showering her with compliments. Sophia stood in the center of the living room, smiling as though she had already become mistress of the house. The bitterness crushed in my chest finally erupted. I stumbled back to my room, blind. I could not even manage to pack my own suitcase. When it toppled over with a thud, Sophia appeared before me. The sharp heel of her shoe drove down on my hand. Sweat broke out across my body from the pain, but she bent low, her lips brushing my ear. Grace, long time no see. You must have guessed who I am by now. Years ago, I was the one who hit Michael, the one who injured his eyes. You stole my corneas for him and left me blind. Did you really think I would never return? And you never imagined that one day he would take your eyes himself to avenge me, watching everything that was yours fall into my hands, and you swallowing it down like broken teeth. I almost pity you. I tried to rise, but her heel only ground harder into my hand. Before I could speak, Sophia tore the gown from her body. With a twist of her heel, she fell hard beside me. I had not yet realized what had happened when Michael's furious voice filled the air. Grace, what are you doing? Are you mad? Rain came up here just to show you the gown. To see if it needed altering. Why would you act this way? The GU parents glared at me in disapproval. Sophia draped herself bonelessly across Michael's shoulder, her voice weak and trembling. I'm sorry. I only thought since Sister Ranran can't see, I could let her touch the fabric to feel it. I don't know what I said to upset her. She suddenly just, please don't blame her. She didn't mean it. I lay on the ground, disheveled, a cold laugh curling my lips. Mad, Michael. You don't know why I am mad. The kidnapping. Don't you owe me an explanation? Michael's brow furrowed, his voice taut. Explain what? I was the one who rescued you. What does that have to do with Sophia? She not only agreed to let you adopt her child, she even helped by trying on gowns for your wedding. Instead of gratitude, you lash out. What have you become? Before I could respond, the GU parents had already turned against me, blind and still making trouble. Do you think you're still the heiress of the Shin family? Who else would want you but my son? Leave her be. Let her sit and reflect on her behavior. Being blind is her punishment. Michael, take Rain and stay elsewhere for a few days. We will care for Lily. Blood welled in my sockets once more. Michael did not spare me a single glance. He carried Sophia away. 5 years of love turned to ash in that instant. That night, while the GU parents slept, I dragged my suitcase out the door and fled to a hotel. At dawn, Michael sent a message. The screen reader recited his pitiful words. Ranran, please don't be angry about tonight. My parents were only speaking in anger. Once I'm done with work, I'll apologize on their behalf, but no apology ever came. Instead, I received a video of him at the amusement park, laughing with Sophia and Lily, for 2 days straight. Their happy family trended across the headlines. I no longer hesitated. I went to the police station, requested another copy of the kidnapper's confession, and mailed it directly to Michael. On the day of the wedding, Michael stared at the messages on his phone, unanswered, unease rising in his chest. He was just about to call when his assistant rushed into the hall, pale-faced and trembling, a file clutched in his hand. Bad news, Mr. GU. Miss Shin has found out about the kidnapping. Something has happened to her. Michael froze, his mind blank. He stared at the file without comprehension. The kidnapping? What kind of joke is this? The kidnapper has already been in prison for days. How could Ranran possibly find out? She is blind. Where could she even go? His voice cracked. What happened to her? Why hasn't she answered my messages? The assistant fumbled open the file, his voice shaking. I don't know exactly, but when I called the police, they told me Miss Shin came yesterday, asked specifically to see the kidnapper's confession. Insisted on being alone. No one knows what happened in that room. They only said when she left, she looked lost, not herself at all, and she carried something out with her. Then just now I got a call from the hospital. They said Miss Shin was in a car accident on the way to the airport. The fire hasn't been put out. The doctors can't even attempt a rescue. Sir, you had better go see for yourself. The words struck Michael like a hammer, nearly breaking his mind. How could so much have happened in just 2 days? Everything had been under his control, every variable accounted for. Why had Grace suddenly spiraled out of reach? The wine glass in his hand shattered against the floor. Forgetting his family's face, he grabbed the assistant by the collar, rage blazing in his eyes. What did you say? Say it again. What happened to Grace? At that moment, Sophia, radiant in her wedding gown, slipped her arm through his, her smile as sweet as ever. Why so angry all of a sudden? Michael, calm down. Everyone is waiting for the wedding. Your parents were just asking after us. Don't worry them. But Michael's gaze turned sharp. He seized Sophia's wrist in a crushing grip. Was it you? Did you tell Grace about the kidnapping? I told you to bury it in your stomach. Why did you run to her, flaunting that you were my savior? She saved you too. Without her, you would still be blind. Sophia's composure shattered. She hadn't expected him to turn on her. Tears welled instantly, spilling in helpless streams as she cried out in wounded indignation. Michael, what do you take me for? Sister Ranran saved me. I'm grateful beyond words. Why would I ever tell her about the kidnapping? and what good would it do me? Especially today, on my own wedding. I know your heart still belongs to her. This wedding is already more than I ever dreamed of. I never dared hope for anything else. I thought being by your side was enough. I never thought you'd see me this way." Her delicate face, the very picture of innocence. But this time, Michael could not let himself believe. He had no time to coddle her. Instead, he spun back to the assistant, his voice shaking with urgency. "Go, find Grace. I don't believe this. She promised me she'd wait at home for me to come back. She would never leave. Never." He did not even know why he was trembling, only that the moment he heard she was hurt, his control had broken. The assistant sighed, pulling up the accident report on his phone and holding it out. "Sir, I know you don't want to accept it, but the crash is already on the news. It can't be false. I went to the site myself. There were things found at the scene that belonged to her. One was a bracelet. You gave it to her 2 years ago, didn't you? I checked the GU estate's cameras. Miss Shin left 2 days ago, the same night you took Miss Lin away. Chairman GU has always despised her because of her injuries. When he learned she had gone, he ordered everyone not to tell you. Mr. GU, you should prepare yourself. Once the fire is out, you'll need to arrange Miss Shin's affairs." Michael's arms dropped limply. He couldn't even summon the strength to stand. "No, she can't be gone. She promised me she'd stay and wait for me. We were going to raise Lily together. I told her I would be her eyes for life, never to part, if I wasn't there. How could she leave on her own?" His voice was so faint it was almost inaudible. The assistant's words cut sharper. "Sir, Miss Shin did care for you deeply, but the truth is out. She knows you ordered her abduction. How could she still remain in your house? She was blind, and travel was already difficult. An accident was almost inevitable." The facts lay there in blood and fire, but Michael could not accept them. "No, she couldn't have known. She cannot see. She cannot even walk outside unaided. How could she have gone to the police and demanded the confession?" His voice rose in fury. "I'll go myself. Wherever she is, I'll bring her back. The GU family is her home. I am her eyes. I swore I'd never leave her." His last words erupted in a roar, every muscle straining. The assistant flinched, struck dumb by the madness in his tone. In Sophia's eyes, a spark of jealous hatred flashed, quickly masked beneath her familiar mask of frail innocence. "Michael, where are you going? The wedding has already begun. Your parents are waiting. Sister Ranran must still be angry with you. Why don't we hold the ceremony first? Afterward I'll go to her myself. Apologize, beg her forgiveness. If she wants her eyes back, or wants me gone from the GU family, I won't complain. But at least for today, let me be your bride." In the past, Michael might have yielded without hesitation, let the wedding proceed. But now, no matter what, he could not bring himself to take that step. On the day of the wedding, Michael's eyes lingered on the unanswered messages on his phone, a vague unease gnawing at him. Just as he was about to call, he shook off Sophia's hand, his expression turning to ice. "Sophia, I will warn you one last time. You are here only as Lily's mother, standing in for Grace. Grace is my wife in name. And my parents are not yours to claim. You want a wedding? Fine, then have it by yourself. I have something more important. I'm leaving." He turned to go, but Lily toddled up to them, tugging on his pant leg. "Daddy, where are you going? Grandpa and Grandma are calling for you. They're so happy today. They said the bad woman is dead, and they got Lily lots of cakes. Lily likes it when Daddy and Mommy get married. Can we have weddings every day?" At the words "bad woman," Michael's face darkened like thunder. He swung his gaze to Sophia. "Bad woman? Did you teach her that? Lily is still so little. What could she know? Sophia, what have you been filling her head with? If you cannot raise her properly, then she'll stay with my parents. You'll see her once a month." He did not give Sophia a chance to protest. Turning away, he strode toward the banquet hall to face his parents. In the short walk, whispers from the guests cut into him like knives. "Did you hear? That Shin girl was in a car crash this morning. Lucky Jiu Shao didn't marry her. Otherwise he'd be widowed on his wedding day. Pathetic. No way, the Shin family moved abroad long ago. Grace was the only one left here, just got rescued from a kidnapping. Now a car accident. What rotten luck. Serves her right." She insisted on clinging to Ji Shao, sticking herself in someone else's relationship. Blind and still shameless, I bet she tried to crash the wedding today, and look what happened. Not a pity she's dead. Every word deepened the storm on Michael's face. By the time he reached the stage, his nails had bitten so deep into his palm he nearly drew blood. Why? He had sealed every rumor, hidden every report. How had news of Grace's blindness spread? All she needed was to wait until after the wedding. Then she would be his wife in name. He would fulfill his promise, be her eyes for a lifetime. He would take her to see every beautiful corner of the world, every meadow, every falling leaf. He had even imagined Lily calling her Mom. They would live together, a family. He would find the best doctors in the world to heal her eyes, protect her so that no one ever mocked her again. That was his plan. And yet, why had everything turned to ash? What had Grace gone through in the mere 2 days he'd been away from the GU house? The questions suffocated him. When his parents saw him return, relief lit their faces. Michael, his mother said eagerly, since Grace is gone. Today is perfect for your wedding with Rain. From now on, she is your wife. Treat her well. Forget that blind girl. What an omen, to die on such a joyous day. Thank heavens she isn't the bride. That would shame the GU family. Once the wedding is over, you'll get the marriage certificate with Rain. I'll have all of that blind girl's belongings thrown out. Michael froze, staring at their delighted faces. For the first time in his life, disgust for his own parents rose in his chest. Certificate. I already have one. With Grace, Sophia only bore a child. I healed her eyes and promised to let Lily into the house, but don't push your luck. His mother's face hardened, but before she could answer, Michael cut her off. If you want a certificate, go get one yourselves. My wife will only ever be Grace. The kidnapping was my fault, and whether she lives or dies, I will never marry anyone else. I came back to tell you this. Today's wedding is cancelled. My wife, I will bring her back. Even if it costs me my life. He left them no chance to argue, turning on his heel and striding out of the hotel. As he reached the car, Sophia came rushing after him, Lily in her arms. In the 2 minutes since he had last seen her, a gaping wound had appeared on the child's arm, deep enough to show bone. Sophia sobbed. Her voice choked with tears. Michael, where are you going? Lily was cut by the glass you smashed. Please, take her to the hospital. Blood dripped steadily from Lily's small arm. Michael's phone rang. It was his assistant. Without a word, he wrenched open the car door, slid inside, and locked it. Take a taxi yourself. If you can't take care of her, my parents will. With that, he drove away from the wedding. As the engine roared, he answered the call. Well, any news? His assistant's sigh carried through the line. Sir, the fire has been put out, but the car was burned to a steel frame. There will likely be no remains left to recover. Michael's eyes flamed red. His hands shook as he hung up, opening his messages. Over and over, he typed to me. He refused to believe it. He could not accept that Grace had left him like this. Dozens of messages went out, but all that came back was a red exclamation mark. Grace had blocked him. In 5 years together, they had never once quarreled. Every time he called, Grace would pick up at once. Because she knew if he could not reach her, he would worry, lose focus at work. She never made trouble for him. Never once deleted or blocked his number. But now she had. Michael knew. This time was different. Grace had made up her mind. She wanted to vanish from his life completely, and he would not allow it. The Maybach screeched to a halt at the side of the road. Michael slapped himself across the face, again and again, his cheeks swelling red. Though he felt no pain, he had sent men to stage the kidnapping. He had ordered them to gouge out her eyes. He had forced her into surgery before her body had healed, and that car crash. No ordinary person could have escaped it. Grace, with no sight, how could she possibly have survived? It was his own hand that had buried his wife. The thought pierced him like a poisoned thorn, shredding his heart to ribbons. Losing control, he opened her profile photo. It was the wedding portrait they had taken before everything collapsed. Grace, smiling like sunlight, cheeks flushed, eyes bright with hope for the future, not the pale, weakened figure he had left behind. She had looked forward to that wedding with all her heart, dreamed of being his bride. She had even chosen to leave her family, stay behind in their homeland. All for one empty promise of his, and he had destroyed it all. Her last shred of happiness, guilt and remorse came crashing down, crushing his sanity. He stroked her smiling face on the screen again and again. Only by clinging to these traces of her could he still breathe. He did not go to the crash site. He refused to believe that the woman lost in those flames was the wife he had loved for 5 years. Instead, he drove straight to the police station. But the kidnapper's words delivered the final blow. Mr. Gu, I am sorry, I broke my word. Miss Shin did come, but it wasn't me who told her about the kidnapping. She already knew. She even knew where my family had moved. She threatened me with them, forced me to give another statement. I had no choice. When Michael left the station, his breathing was so heavy it seemed to crush his spine. A policeman hurried over with a file. Sir, you're Michael, right? Miss Shin asked me to give this to you before she left. Hands shaking, Michael tore it open. His face turned white as he read. The record detailed the car accident from 3 years ago. The driver's name, Sophia. Sophia had struck him and fled. Grace had tracked her down, threatened her with a corneal transplant operation. As long as Sophia saved Michael, Grace would cover up the crash. Sophia had no money, no way out, she agreed. The hospital where the operation was done had been one of Michael's friend's clinics. Perhaps Grace herself had not imagined Sophia would later twist the story, paint herself as the innocent donor. And for 3 years, Michael had believed it, believed he owed Sophia, and behind Grace's back, had spent himself making it up to her. But he had mistaken his benefactor, mistaken his love. He dared not imagine Grace's feelings when she discovered that Sophia was his mistress. He dared not imagine her despair when she realized he had ordered her eyes torn out. For the sake of the woman who had nearly killed him, Michael rushed to the hospital, file in hand, to confront his friend. The man sighed when he saw it. So you finally know. I'm sorry. Grace begged me to keep it from you. She was afraid the truth would crush you. She didn't want you to feel guilty, didn't want you to marry her out of gratitude. Grace was a good girl, but both of you were fooled by Sophia. When you brought Sophia back for surgery, I wanted to tell you, but Grace refused. She was still awake when you ordered the transplant. She heard you. I asked her, right before the operation, if she wanted me to speak. She said no, that it was better this way. You already loved Sophia. Why burden you with the past? Michael, even at the very end, she was thinking of you. Let her go, she's too tired. Michael's tears fell in torrents. So Grace isn't dead, is she? Please, tell me where she is. I just want to see her once, just once. When Michael boarded the plane, I was just waking from surgery. My friend had found the best surgeon. The transplant was successful, though my vision returned only in fragments, no more than 1/5 of what it once was. I lay in the hospital bed, listening as she read the news aloud. She wanted me to know Michael had abandoned the wedding. I knew she was saying it for my sake, but I had already chosen to leave. Michael had used lies of kidnapping to make me step aside for Sophia, so I would use the lie of a fatal crash to grant him his love. My friend looked at the bandages over my eyes and wept, afraid I would break down too. She fled the room in tears. No sooner had she left than a shadow appeared against the window. The glass fogged with his breath. I did not know how long he stood there, silent. The room was so quiet I could hear the two of us breathing at different tempos. I said nothing. He only stood, watching, close enough to touch, yet I could no longer see his face. Only when my friend's footsteps returned did he finally leave. A week later, when the bandages were removed, my friend handed me a phone. On the screen was news of Michael sending Sophia to prison. He had held a grand funeral for me. From that day forward, Michael's wife no longer existed in the world, only Grace. Next, I will tell you the second story. If you think it is good, please remember to subscribe. Your support is our motivation. When Ethan's men came to fetch me, I had already been lying inside a morgue drawer for 3 days. Almost every night they bound my wrists and ankles, gagged me, and shoved me into that steel compartment, surrounded by real corpses, to heighten my terror. The doctor would inject me with a stimulant so I could feel every second of it. But this time, they seemed to have forgotten me. For 3 days no one came. When the drug wore off, I fell into a heavy sleep. I remembered the last time. They forgot me for 5 days. By then I was so dehydrated I nearly died before they managed to revive me. When I was finally dragged out from among the dead, another injection jolted me back to consciousness. The harsh lights burned my eyes, but no matter how much they stung, no more tears would ever come. And there he was, Victor. His cold gaze locked on me before he pressed a phone to my ear. Ethan's voice came through the receiver. "Do you admit your mistake?" My throat was raw, as if torn apart. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. "So, you still don't recognize your place?" Panic surged through me. I clutched the phone with shaking hands and blurted out my submission. Ethan seemed satisfied. When Victor took back the phone, his disgust was obvious. He peeled off the phone case I had touched and tossed it into the trash, then sprayed the device with alcohol. I knew he thought I was filthy, but none of that mattered. All I wanted was to climb into the nanny van he had brought. Only when I noticed the strands of golden fur clinging to the carpet did it strike me. This was the van once used to chauffeur Ethan's golden retriever. The dog had been a gift from his stepmother. Ethan had hated both her and the dog, and now, here I was, sitting in the seat where that retriever used to ride. I understood. Ethan wanted me to remember exactly who I was. An hour later, I walked into Ethan's birthday party. The hall glittered with lights, filled with raucous voices. Once familiar, the scene now pressed against me like a nightmare, every breath thick with dread. No longer his cherished songbird, I was nothing more than a stray dog. The music cut abruptly. All eyes turned toward me. "Who's that? How did she get in? Isn't that Anna? The famous actress?" "Can't be, she looks awful." "God, what's that smell? Disgusting." I turned pale, clutching my sleeve, unable to meet anyone's gaze. "Ho Shao, are you serious? You fought with Rachel this afternoon, and now you bring Anna back tonight. Rachel's going to be furious." Ethan lounged lazily on the sofa, eyes half-lidded as he glanced at me. At last he lifted a hand. The crowd, well-trained, dispersed instantly. One man chuckled and gave him a thumbs up. "You can even stomach that. Impressive." Everyone in the city knew. Ethan kept me as his caged canary, but Rachel was his unattainable white moonlight. Rachel, daughter of the Sioux family, was a goddess at the piano, cold and untouchable, the idol of countless young heirs. Recently she had turned to acting. Ethan's first gift to her was the starring role in a film, a role that had been mine. The press release declared, "A star more promising than Anna is about to rise." Fans raged. They attacked Rachel online in my defense. And I paid the price. Blacklisted by the media, frozen by my company. 3 months ago, rumors spread that I had ordered her kidnapping out of jealousy. When Ethan rescued her from that warehouse, she wept in his arms like a fragile flower. That performance sent her to stardom, and sent me into a psychiatric ward. "Do you know your mistake?" Ethan asked me now. I nodded frantically. "Yes, what mistake? I shouldn't have let the fans attack Rachel online. I shouldn't have hired anyone to harm her." Ethan smirked. "Weren't you denying it to the bitter end before? Seems you just needed some discipline." I bowed my head. "From now on I'll behave. Whatever you want me to admit, I'll admit." Ethan's breath caught sharply. I flinched. "Anna, who are you trying to fool with that pitiful act?" "Rachel spent 3 days locked in a warehouse, starving and terrified. You only spent 3 months resting comfortably in a hospital." For the first time, I lifted my gaze to him. My heart turned to ice. Yes, Rachel had emerged spotless, her makeup intact even after 3 days, and I, shattered and broken, was invisible to him. "Go clean yourself up," he said coldly. "Tonight, I'll allow you to stay," a rare act of charity. Perhaps he was restless, after all. Ethan had always been too fastidious to touch just anyone. Rachel, the jewel of his heart, he would never force. But me, I was close, powerless, unworthy, clean enough for him to use without guilt. I fled into the bathroom. The doctors at the asylum had told me I was filthy, my blood and my soul alike. No matter how many times I scrubbed myself raw under the water, the stench of the morgue clung to my bones. I knew it would never wash away, just like Rachel's shadow. I would never escape it. When I stepped out in a bathrobe, Rachel arrived. "You really brought her back," she snapped, biting her lip, her face flushed with anger and hurt. Ethan leaned lazily back. "And who was it that turned me down?" What's wrong with finding someone who actually loves me to keep me company? My grip on the robe tightened. So that was what I was. A pastime. Who turned you down? Rachel's cheeks flamed. Ethan's eyes gleamed. He feigned ignorance. I don't know what you mean. Blushing deeper. Rachel bent and kissed him on the corner of his mouth. Now do you understand? Ethan laughed, pulling her into his arms. Rachel, you promised. No regrets. She murmured assent, shy but yielding. The joy on his face was something I had never seen, and then his eyes snapped to me. What are you still standing there for? Get out. I froze, too stunned to move. In an instant he was on his feet, shoving me out without mercy. The door slammed behind me, and the press swarmed in. I was still wearing only the bathrobe. With his rough handling it had nearly slipped from my body. I clutched it tight, trying to shrink into the shadows, but they would not relent. I ran. They chased like mad dogs. When a car roared down the street toward me, I threw myself at it. For one fleeting second, I thought, better to die, better to end this shame, but fate refused me even that. The car screeched to a halt, spinning sideways in front of me. Victor stormed out. What the hell? Trying to die and dirty my car. His eyes fell on me. Half naked, cornered by the mob of reporters. For a heartbeat, he hesitated. Then with a scowl, he shrugged off his coat and threw it over me, shoving me into the car. By the next morning, the headlines blared. Fallen starlet thrown out after failed seduction. Disgraced actress, fresh from the asylum, tries to crawl into CEO's bed. But most of the talk circled around the rivalry. Anna or Rachel, who was truly Ethan's beloved, that night ended it. Rachel was vindicated. No longer the mistress, she was the rightful one, stepping over me to claim her place. One, the discarded canary. The other, the untouchable moonlight. There was no contest. Even my last loyal fans abandoned me. I was wrong. Rachel really is the noble one. I'll support her from now on. Victor chose that moment to return my phone. Ethan's order. Surely. I read the trending searches. My mood eerily calm. No tears, no rage. That seemed to surprise Victor. As we neared my apartment, he asked suddenly, that moment, did you really want to die? I watched the neon blur past the window. Victor, I'm hungry. The truth was, I no longer knew if I even had the right to die. After all, if I were gone, how would Rachel keep climbing over me? That night, for the first time in 3 months, I ate a full meal at a greasy food stall by the roadside. The dishes were leftovers from the table beside us. Victor made no effort to hide it as he pushed them toward me. This is how Miss Sue lived for those 3 days too. As my bodyguard, he had finally found his chance to avenge Rachel. He seemed to forget that, if I hadn't taken him in, he would have died in the gutter years ago. I didn't get angry. I only stared at the food, my mouth watering after so long. The moment the food was set down, I lunged for it, not even bothering with chopsticks. Victor clearly hadn't expected me to debase myself so quickly. By the time he thought to snatch the dishes back, it was too late. I clutched the plate to my chest, retreating into the corner, guarding it like a starving animal. I ate in frantic gulps, eyes darting to him with every bite. His expression soured instantly. His fists clenched at his sides. I hurried to finish the last mouthful, then pushed the empty plate back toward him. Don't hit me, I'll be good. Those words seemed to freeze him in place, but I had no energy to think about his reaction. My long-starved stomach, suddenly overwhelmed, twisted violently. I bent over the curb, vomiting until my vision swam. By the end, only a puddle of blood remained. As I staggered to my feet, everything went black. Miss Anna. Victor's panicked face was the last thing I saw before collapsing. For a moment, he looked just like the half-starved boy I had once dragged off the streets. Yes, even the one I had rescued with my own hands had chosen to stand with Rachel in the end. How worthless did that make me? When I opened my eyes again, I was on an 4-drip, but not in a hospital. Right now the internet is full of your scandals. The hospital isn't safe. That was Victor's explanation. Safe for me, or safe for Rachel. So I couldn't use pity to steal attention from her. Either way, it no longer mattered. Do you have food? I'm hungry. Victor gave me a strange look before setting down a bowl of plain porridge. Days passed like this. Fours drained into my veins. The fever subsided, though a low burn never left me. News spread that Ethan and Rachel had finally gone public. He had even given her a villa worth hundreds of millions. Proof of how dearly he prized her. Once, he had given me an apartment too, worth barely a fraction of that sum. I had been overjoyed. Terrified I was unworthy of such a gift, desperate to slice myself into pieces for him to savor. Rachel's return gift was a piano piece. Their announcement that day shut down my fan pages for good. The last of my supporters abandoned me, ashamed they had ever cared for someone so filthy. But none of that mattered anymore. You shouldn't be resentful, Victor said, catching me staring at the headlines. You and her, you were never equal. A warning, really, if I tried to harm Rachel again, my fate would be even worse. As if I didn't already know, as if the endless nights in the asylum hadn't taught me that lesson with every scream. A week later, Ethan came. I was asleep when I felt something cold touch my face. Don't hit me. I bolted upright in terror, rolling straight to the wall. The 4-needle ripped free, blood spilling down my hand. Anna, Ethan's voice was shaken, almost frantic. Guilt flickered in it too. Perhaps he did feel remorse for destroying me, for handing Rachel the pedestal she stood on. I had been his woman for 5 years, after all. But so what? If Rachel needed it, he would push me into hell 1,000 times over. I saw him rushing toward me. My body shrank back instinctively. When his hand reached for me, I scrambled to my feet so quickly my vision blacked, my body swaying. Even so, I would not let him touch me. His hand froze in midair. Dirty. The word scraped from my throat, ragged and thin, his brows furrowed. Terrified, I explained quickly, I'm dirty, don't touch me. All I wanted was distance. Away from him, away from Rachel, to be discarded once they were done using me, nothing more. I studied his face carefully. He didn't explode, only pulled his hand back, shoving it deep into his pocket. After a pause, he spoke about that night. I know, I cut him off, Mr. I know I'm just Rachel's stepping stone. Don't worry, I won't resent her. Look at me. I have no power to fight back. You don't have to worry. His face twisted with something I couldn't read. Finally he said, flat and cold, as long as you understand your place, of course. I pressed a trembling hand to my chest. Mr. Now that you and Rachel are together, now that she's risen above me, please, let me go, don't send me back to the asylum. His eyes flicked to the blood dripping from my hand, his lips pressed into a thin, unreadable line. I froze, not knowing which word might spark his anger. My heart thudded wildly, breath breaking apart. Darkness swam at the edges of my vision, but I didn't dare faint. If I collapsed, they would only sneer that I was pretending, playing for pity. They would loathe me more, and punish me worse. Rachel arranged a role for you in her show. Tomorrow you'll go to set. Compensation? Hardly. Just another way to wring out what little worth I had left. Ethan turned and left. The moment the door shut, I crumpled to the floor. I didn't know he lingered outside for a long time, watching. The fever never fully left me, but the next morning I was dragged to set. Rachel's assistant called, her voice dripping with disdain. Miss Sue worked hard to secure you this opportunity. The director finally agreed to see you. Don't be ungrateful. Her opportunity, that role had been mine from the start. Victor, loyal to Rachel, wasn't about to let her efforts go to waste. Fever or not, he hauled me there at dawn. The moment we stepped onto the lot, I saw Rachel, luminous in the crowd, every star revolving around her. Victor's gaze fixed on her instantly, unwilling to leave. Rachel noticed him too, coming over with a smile. Daniel trailed behind her. At the sight of me, his feet faltered, rooted to the ground. My brother, the boy I had raised with my own hands. I had given up college, clawed into the entertainment industry, paid for his treatments, and he repaid me by delivering the fatal blow, testifying against me, swearing I had ordered fans to kidnap Rachel. He had handed over evidence, watched as the Sue family humiliated me, as Ethan crushed me, never opening his mouth to defend me, and Rachel, ever gracious, had taken him in as her assistant. He saw me, but when my eyes met his, he panicked and turned away. Victor, you're here too. Perfect, I need another bodyguard, Rachel said lightly, and Victor followed her, leaving me abandoned in the crowd. Once I had commanded sets, now I shrank into corners, desperate not to offend anyone. By noon, a limousine pulled up. The Soo family had come to visit. They brought food and drinks for the whole crew. Wow, that's Rachel's family. No wonder her debut resources were so good. She's the Soo family heiress. Not just that, her resources come from Mr. himself. He spoils her rotten. Then what on earth is Anna competing for? She's just humiliating herself, humiliating myself. That was all I had left. I tried to slip away, but a voice pierced the air. Ran, Mrs. Soo's eyes locked on me. The stares around me turned sharp and strange. Panic surged, and I tried to flee, but Mrs. Soo hurried after me. Ran, I'm your mother. I recoiled from her hand. Tears streamed down her face. Ran, you don't want your mother either. Come back with me, please. Back to where? To Suja, who would kill me. You're mistaken, Madam Soo, I'm not your daughter. I have no home. I stumbled away, but she clung to me, sobbing harder. Ran, what happened to you? Look at me. Then Mr. Harris stormed over, dragging her back. Have you forgotten the news? Kidnapping Yin wasn't enough. You even tried to seduce her boyfriend. The Soo family has no shameless daughter like you, Mrs. Soo was pulled away, still crying. I exhaled in relief. That should satisfy Suja and Ethan, shouldn't it? But I had underestimated their zeal for protecting Rachel, because of that one word. Daughter. Suja came to me again. Ethan is with Rachel now. Once this drama is over, they'll be engaged. If you cause trouble again, don't blame me for being ruthless. You know exactly what I'm capable of. Yes, I knew. The day I was recognized by the Soo family, he had made it clear, Rachel was his only sister, even without blood ties. When Rachel had been kidnapped for 3 days, he locked me in a dark room, no food, no water, beatings morning, noon, and night. 3 days later, Rachel appeared before the cameras flawless, while I crawled out with 2 broken ribs. Before I could utter a word, Ethan sent me straight to the asylum. I know, I have nothing to do with Ethan anymore. I'll never go near him again. My voice shook as hard as my body. I backed away, terrified. Suja reached for me. I darted aside in panic, slamming my head into a steel frame. Warm blood trickled down my temple. Still, I stood rigid, watching him like a cornered animal. Terrified he would come closer. Anna, you. Something unreadable flickered in his eyes, but before he could finish, Ethan's voice cut across the set. Suja, what are you doing? Ethan all but stormed over, fury written across his face. Suja pulled back his hand, his eyes hardening again. Ethan, a man should take responsibility. Since you've chosen Rachel, stop entangling yourself with people who mean nothing. My affairs aren't yours to meddle in. Suja left in anger. But his absence brought me no relief. To me, Ethan was the greater demon. I scrambled to explain, desperate. I never tried to take her place. Her parents are hers, her brother is hers, everything in the Soo family is hers. I never tried to fight her for it. I swear. Ethan's eyes carried something I couldn't read. I didn't dare try to. I only kept babbling. Then he raised his hand. I shrank back in terror, but instead of striking me, he said, Anna, your forehead is bleeding. Only then did I realize the warm trickle running down my face. It doesn't matter. As long as he didn't send me back to the asylum, nothing else mattered. He reached to wipe the blood, but I pulled away. Dirty. My blood is dirty. His hand fell back, his fingers curling into a fist. I could feel his anger rising again. As expected, before I could even meet the director, he ordered Victor to take me home. I knew it then. He never intended to give me a second chance. If I ever rose again, I would be both Rachel's obstacle and her stain. That night, half asleep, I felt a hand brushing my forehead. I flinched and tried to rise, but the hand pressed me down. Don't move. Ethan's voice, low, coaxing, like the way he used to sound when we shared a bed. I opened my eyes to find his face so close, tending to the wound at my brow. Does it hurt? He murmured. My skin crawled. I froze. Then his head dipped lower, his breath heating, heavy with a familiar hunger. I knew what would happen next. Forcing down the tremor in my chest, I whispered, shouldn't you be doing this with Rachel? His answer came casually, she's not like you. Desire darkened his voice, but my heart turned to ice. Because I'm cheap, right? he froze, his face hardened. Anna, are you refusing me? I should have been afraid, but in that instant, I laughed. Yes, Ethan, I refuse. Why couldn't I refuse the man who had thrown me into hell again and again? He left in a rage, more shaken than I had ever seen him. And I collapsed over the toilet, retching until blood spilled out with the bile. Yet when it was over, I laughed. For the first time, I felt free. The next day at the set, Rachel claimed one of her doubles had called in sick. She told me to stand in. She was a rookie, newly arrived in the industry. Where did she get the audacity to order a former award-winning actress to be her double? From Ethan, of course. The director glanced at him, and Ethan only stared at me with icy eyes. Rachel needed someone to step on. That was my final worth. I had no right to refuse. That night, Rachel's assistant came with a smile dripping venom. Miss Sue really fought hard to get you a role. Change into costume. The director will be here soon. I should have walked away, but I had no choice. When I opened the wardrobe, I realized what it was. A courtesan's attire, sheer silk, revealing, vulgar. By then it was too late. My own clothes were gone. The assistant had vanished. The door opened. The deputy director, I knew him well, known for preying on actresses. You know who I am, I warned. Touch me, and you'll pay. His grin was lecherous, an old shoe tossed away by Ethan. And you still dare threaten me? He lunged. I tried to run. I fought, until he slapped me hard across the face. My ears rang. My mind blurred into static. My resistance faltered. My body betraying me. And then, the door burst open. Ethan. He kicked the man across the room, face contorted in rage. So it only takes a little benefit for you to spread your legs for trash like him. A bank card slammed against my face. He shoved me onto the dressing table, tearing at my clothes with brutal hands. Ethan, no. My hearing returned with my panic. I clawed at him, nails slicing his cheek. His snarl twisted into something monstrous. A filthy whore I've already ruined. What right do you have to refuse me? The words froze the last drop of blood in my veins, so this was how little I meant to him. All the fight drained out of me. I curled into myself, numb, as he took what he wanted. When it was over, he straightened his clothes, didn't spare me a glance, and walked out. I lay trembling, shrunken into a ball. Hell was not only the asylum, it was here, too, by the time I pulled myself together. The night shoot had wrapped, the crew had gone. Victor waited outside, impatience plain on his face. One look at me, and the contempt in his eyes burned like acid. As I stepped toward the car, he stopped me, pulled out a roll of plastic sheeting, and spread it across the seat, afraid I'd soil it, afraid I'd dirty even a car that had once belonged to a dog. I said nothing. No expression crossed my face. I folded myself into the back seat without complaint. Victor hesitated, surprised, watching me shrink smaller, curling away from even the edge of the plastic. On the ride back, he kept glancing at me in the mirror. Was he still worried about his car? I only curled tighter, determined not to touch anything. When we arrived, my body swayed, fever burning hotter. I stumbled, a hand caught me. You're burning up again. Why didn't you say anything? I jerked away. Don't worry, I won't delay your goddess's filming. That's not what I meant. It didn't matter what he meant. As long as I threatened Rachel, they would always throw me into hell. My fever raged, pulling me under. In the haze, someone fed me medicine, wiped my sweat, whispered words I couldn't grasp. By midday the next day, I woke to find no one beside me, so it had been a dream. My first stunt as Rachel's double was to take a slap. The actress opposite me complained her strikes weren't landing. The director complained my reactions weren't good enough. They decided to make it real. Her hand crashed against my face again and again, harder each time. I recognized her, a girl who had debuted with me, always beneath my shadow. Now she struck with relish, leaving no restraint. My cheek swelled quickly. I didn't care. I only watched Ethan. He and Rachel sat together, watching too. You said you wouldn't come today, Rachel murmured. Dark circles under his eyes betrayed sleepless nights. I just came to look, he said flatly. She spoke again, but he didn't seem to hear, her lips pressed thin, displeased. At last, after I lost count of the blows, Ethan shifted impatiently. Do you always hit like this? Only when it's not good enough. You know how strict Director Chen is. my ears buzzed. My vision blurred. The man who had damned me was dissolving into shadow before my eyes. The actress froze mid-swing. Fear crossed her face. She backed away, trembling. The set erupted in confusion. Anna, Ethan was suddenly in front of me, panic twisting his features. He was calling my name, desperate, helpless, impossible. I must be dreaming. Ethan would never wear that face for me. Then I saw the blood on his hands, my blood, pouring from my ears, from my nose, unstoppable. They rushed me to the hospital. The results came back. My left ear, deaf, my stomach, perforated, my brain, tumors. Ethan went mad, raging at the doctors. Impossible. Check again. You must be wrong. I was calm. Perhaps it was better this way. Then Daniel entered. Mr. You've been deceived. Those reports are fake. These are the real ones. Anna doesn't have tumors. She isn't deaf. Her stomach is fine. She colluded with the doctors to trick you. I'm her brother. I would never harm her. So it had come, the boy I had raised, fed, and sheltered. Once again driving me into the abyss for the sake of his idol. I stared at him silently. Daniel looked away, unable to meet my eyes. Ethan scanned the new reports. Page after page, the coldness in his gaze returned. Sharp as ever, he seized my chin. Anna, clever, playing me over and over. Just wait. He shoved me aside and stormed out. Daniel turned to leave too. Daniel, I called. My voice was soft, steady. If I die, will you feel even a little guilty? It was the first and last thing I ever said to him. He gave no answer. He ran. Victor filed my discharge papers. As he packed my things, his face was twisted with open contempt. Miss Anna really is talented. Even I almost believed that performance. Victor hadn't even finished sneering when the door swung open. The doctor came in, holding a stack of reports. Miss Anna, you need surgery immediately. Your ear still has a chance to recover, and the tumor in your brain, it's too large. If you take another blow, it could rupture inside your skull. That would kill you. Even after we got into the car, Victor still hadn't recovered from the shock. Are you sick or not? He finally asked. I didn't answer. I only stared quietly out the window, and there it was again. The alley where we first met. He had been lying there, beaten bloody, abandoned in the rain. I had held an umbrella over him, offered him water, bread, and asked if he wanted to be my bodyguard. He'd tilted his head back, incredulous. You dare take me in? Of course I had dared. With Ethan behind me, no one would ever touch a hair on my head. He had gotten to his feet, face pale but eyes firm. I, Victor, will protect you with my life. The shoot is almost over. It's Miss Sue's debut. This film is very important to her. At last, I turned and met his eyes in the rearview mirror, but Victor dropped his gaze almost instantly, as if even he realized how heartless and cold his words had been. Back in the apartment, I swallowed a handful of pills and lay in bed, letting memories wash over me. For the first time in years, I felt something close to release. That night, I slept better than I had in a decade, and I dreamed, in my dream. I had never been lost as a child. Rachel had never been taken in by the Sue family. I had grown up there, their cherished daughter, and eventually married Ethan in a grand ceremony. Everyone respected me. Everyone adored me. I was a princess, spoiled and radiant, basking in every luxury the world could offer. When I woke, staring at the ceiling, I laughed. That dream had stitched up the hollow in my heart, just enough to make me feel whole again. At 9 o'clock, Victor came to fetch me. The smile was still on my face. He blinked, unsettled, then looked away quickly. That day I only had one stunt to perform. The director had saved it for the night. The heroine's final farewell. Falling from a high platform, I stood on the scaffold, the stars blazing above, the city lights glittering below. From up here, all my pain seemed so small, so meaningless. At the last moment, Ethan entered the set. I looked down, he looked up, across the sea of light. Our eyes met. For the first time in months, I smiled at him. He froze, staring. Before turning away toward Rachel, I let my smile fade and looked back at the stars. The director shouted, "Action!" I fell backward. The camera followed my descent, but I felt it drift further and further away. Above, someone was shouting. Around me, only the whisper of wind and the drizzle of rain. I felt as though I were floating. Then, Impact, a crack of bone, blood gushed from my mouth. Ethan shot to his feet. Rachel seized his arm. It's a stunt, she's harnessed, that's fake blood. I saw him sit down again, his eyes cooling, convinced I had deceived him once more. Cut. Perfect. One take. The director beamed. But the rigger who was supposed to tie my safety line had gone pale. The rope still hung in his hands, untouched. He had tried to stop me. But with one ear already deaf and the other straining to hear the director's command, I hadn't caught his warning. Miss Anna, are you all right? He whispered, panicked. Only 5 meters, I told myself. It couldn't have been that bad. Rachel came toward me with Ethan at her side. The rigger fled, terrified of being blamed. Anna, thank you. The director was very pleased. I couldn't hear them clearly. I only saw the two of them walking away, side by side. Behind them, Rachel's assistant muttered to the props team, "Didn't I tell you not to use the blood packs yet?" Miss Sue wanted her to fall a few more times. To learn her lesson, I didn't set off any blood packs. One of the crew said, baffled, "Wait, did she really cough up blood?" A filthy rag smacked against my face. Disgusting. Clean yourself up, or don't blame me if I get rough. My mind had gone blank. People passed me without a glance. I stood there, unable to move. Blood dripped from my nose. 1 drop, 2, then a steady stream like an open faucet. Mr. was gone. Quit pretending. Someone jeered as they ran past. The rain thickened. Soon, the set was deserted, only me left in the downpour. But I felt no pain. Death was near, and I welcomed it. Relief washed over me. Like a cloud, I began to drift, and then I fell. When I woke again, my mind was clear, too clear. Was this the lucidity before the end? I fumbled for my phone, soaked from the rain. It still worked. I dialed Ethan's number. To my surprise, he answered instantly. Had he thought it was Rachel? I smiled bitterly. Hello. His voice was impatient. I asked the one question I had carried all my life. Ethan, did you ever love me? On the other end came a cold laugh. Someone like you. What right do you have to speak of love? I pressed my hand to my chest. But it didn't hurt anymore. Good, Ethan, I'm dying. So what? In the next life, I hope we never meet again. His patience snapped. Then die far away. Don't cause me trouble. The call ended. Silence. He was right. Dying here, like this, would cause trouble. For him, for the crew. But I had no strength left to find a quieter place to vanish. My eyes fell on a pile of trash in the corner. The doctors at the asylum had called me garbage. Garbage belongs with garbage. I dragged myself over, curled into the heap, and finally let go. Epilogue. 4 days afterward, Ethan grew restless. He kept checking his private phone, scrolling through Rachel's messages again and again, though he couldn't explain to himself what he was waiting for. On set, everyone praised his devotion to Rachel, but whenever she filmed, his eyes wandered the crowd, searching for someone he never found. Victor came sometimes, too, and he searched as well. At last, Ethan cornered him. Where's Anna? I haven't seen her in days. Victor hesitated. Finally, he pulled out Anna's phone. After the last scene, she disappeared. I only found this by the trash heap. Ethan's face drained of color. Panic seized him. 3 days ago. You're telling me she's been missing for 3 days? Victor nodded. Ethan's palm cracked across his cheek. She vanished for 3 days and you didn't tell me. You were her bodyguard, not Rachel's. Victor said nothing in defense, only quietly. I searched for 3 days. She's gone. She probably realized you'd be proposing to Miss Sue at rap, and she ran. I couldn't let her ruin Miss Sue's happiness. His conviction was unwavering. He would do anything for Rachel, without regret. Ethan's fury boiled over. You were her protector, not Rachel's. Victor froze, for the first time. He seemed to remember whose side he was supposed to be on. Then Ethan sought out Daniel. Daniel was fussing over Rachel, cleaning up after her tantrum. The director had just shouted at her, said no matter how many times they retook the scene, her acting couldn't hold a candle to Anna's. Daniel, once my little brother who never lifted a finger, now hovered around Rachel with worship in his eyes. Ethan dragged him aside. Where's your sister? She's been missing for 3 days. Do you know? Daniel blinked, as though only just recalling that he had a sister. Then the memory of the hospital, the forged reports, seemed to dawn on him. His face went pale. I'll look for her. He slipped away, desperately trying every number, every contact he had ever used to reach me. No reply. Once, I would have answered every message, every call, no matter how busy. Now, no matter how many he sent, there was only silence. His mind went blank. His chest hollowed, as if he had lost something precious. But he could not name what. Leaning against a steel frame, he noticed a dark stain. Blood, he remembered. That was where Suja had hurt me. Where I'd struck my head. He had been nearby, close enough to see. He had pitied me then, but not enough. Rachel had been his light. Since our parents' death, since his illness, I had cradled him, shielded him from the world. He had been everything to me, and still, he had chosen Rachel. Where did Anna go? He whispered, but no one answered. The two prop assistants whispered to each other in the corner. Did you hear? Master Lee from the neighboring team quit yesterday. He got drunk the other night and admitted he forgot to clip Anna's safety rope. She jumped without it. Could something have happened to her? Rachel's assistant told me not to load the blood packs that day, to let her fall a few extra times. But when she hit the ground, she spat up so much blood. I saw her nose bleeding like a faucet before she left. It scared me. I even cursed at her. Daniel nearly collapsed where he stood. He suddenly remembered overhearing the doctors at the hospital warning Anna about the danger of another blow to her head. What did you just say? He wanted an answer, but the two girls bolted like frightened rabbits. His body shook uncontrollably. 2 more days passed. Rachel's film finally wrapped. The Sue family came to celebrate. Ethan searched the entire set again, scanning every face, but there was still no sign of Anna. It was the day of his proposal to Rachel. Everyone around her already knew. Anna must have known too. She would come. He told himself. She always came. But as time dragged on, his eyes swept the crowd dozens, even hundreds of times, until his vision swam with exhaustion. Still, nothing. Suja approached, frowning. Yingying's last scene is done. Isn't it time for you to get on stage? The proposal had been meticulously planned by the Sues and Ethan together. Everything was in place, but Ethan hadn't moved. Distracted, he blurted, "Have you seen Anna?" Of course she would never go to the Sue family, he knew that. Yet he asked anyway, desperation slipping out. He added, voice tight, "She's been missing for 5 days. Suja's frown deepened. Obviously she ran off, knowing you were going to get engaged to Yingying. With all the money she has, do you really think she'd go hungry?" Ethan laughed bitterly. "What money? She sold everything. Her houses, her cars, just to give your family 100 million. And when that wasn't enough, she came to me, begged me for 10 million more, to save you. Wasn't that because of Yingying? You helped the Sues for her sake. Don't talk nonsense. I'm a businessman, not a fool. Why would I bankroll your family's mess?" Suja's face darkened. But Anna's disappearance didn't stop the proposal. Ethan stepped forward, holding out a diamond ring worth a fortune. Rachel blushed. "Mr. Harris looked proud. Mrs. Harris wept with joy. Suja beamed. Even Chen Feng and Daniel clapped with excitement. The crew prepared fireworks. Workers began clearing flammable debris. Then, a scream split the air. A body, Anna's body. The ring slipped from Ethan's hand. Within seconds, everyone was rushing toward the garbage heap, and there she was, curled into herself, stiff, her flesh already beginning to decay. Beneath her, a wide pool of dried blood. The world froze. All the love, all the hatred that had once surrounded her fell silent. Mrs. Harris fainted. Even the stern Mr. Harris said nothing. Daniel crumbled, collapsing to the ground, mumbling like a broken child. "It's my fault, all my fault. I accused her of plotting Rachel's kidnapping. I faked the medical reports to deceive Ethan. I knew she had a brain tumor and still let her fall. I knew Rachel wanted her to fall harder and I didn't stop it." Rachel snapped. She lunged at him, trying to silence him, clawing at his mouth. "You ungrateful traitor. Even now you're defending her to hurt me. Why did I ever take you in?" But Daniel just stared blankly, dazed, not even reacting to her blows. "Rachel, you were my idol. I wanted to protect you, do anything for you, but I never thought it would kill her. She was my sister, the one who raised me, who gave up university to earn money for my illness, who let herself become Ethan's toy just to keep me alive. She loved me, and I destroyed her. How did I become this? Everyone heard, everyone understood, but no one blamed Rachel. They only stared at Anna's corpse, frozen in place. The day Anna was buried, rain poured down and did not stop for 3 days. Ethan stood by her grave, one full day and night without moving. Rachel came to him, speaking in a torrent. How terrified she had been when she learned Anna was the true Sue daughter. How she feared losing everything to her. How she had acted first, before Anna could take it all away. He didn't answer. At last, in frustration, she demanded, "Do you love her? Did you really fall in love with Anna?" For the first time, his eyes flickered. He turned and smiled at her. "I always loved you." And as he said it, his hair whitened strand by strand before her eyes. Rachel stumbled back in horror and fled. The film became infamous even before release. Rachel was blacklisted across the internet. The Sue family fell into silence. Rachel, with nowhere left to go, beat on the doors of her once proud house. No one answered. Daniel lost his mind. He was committed to the very asylum where Anna had been tormented, enduring the same special treatments she once had. One day, dragged out of a morgue drawer, he burst into wild laughter. That night, he set fire to the asylum, climbed the roof, and leapt to his death. Victor returned to the alley where Anna had first found him. He sat on the ground, staring at the rain. He remembered her umbrella, her voice, her bread and water. She had seemed like an angel, a ray of hope in his darkness. But later he had convinced himself she was only a plaything, a kept woman, dirty. A few days later, they found him dead in the same alley, multiple stab wounds. But the coroner confirmed every wound had been self-inflicted. After Anna's burial, Ethan disappeared. When Mrs. Harris returned to her grave in grief, she found it had been dug up. The ashes were gone. The news spread, turning Anna into legend. Crowds came to mourn her, many of them the very people who had once stabbed her in the back without mercy. That concludes today's story. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. We'll continue bringing you more gripping tales. See you next time.